Let's talk money.
Welcome back. You're with us on the Women's Day special edition of Let's Talk Money, and we're talking about how all women, single, married, earning, not earning, how all of them can take better financial control of their destiny and their financial well-being. So, Neha, now we've discussed the single women, and life is usually a little more simple when you're single. But when you're married is when the complications arise, because there are joint aspirations, joint goals, and there is the concept of individual financial security as well. There's so many what-ifs in life, right? I mean, how long are you with your spouse? If there's an untimely exit from a marriage or death of a spouse in a marriage, how do you approach this? Overall, where would you begin? What would you tell women?
See, when you're married, you have got enough things that you have to deal with. So as a married woman, I can surely say that you have to deal with your family, home, and office.
Yes.
So priorities are there. So at any given point of time, this is going to be your priority. What you need to do is carve out some time, plan for yourself that what are your assets, where are your assets, what are you supposed to do with those assets? What if something happens to any member in the family? How will these assets be of any use? So as Ashish said earlier, that you need to budget in things. So that budget has to be prepared, that if there is an eventuality, where do I go?
Yeah.
If I have got assets, does my spouse know where my assets are? Where is my bank account? Where do I do my investments? A lot of time we all start doing investments when we are single.
Yeah.
Our parents have done it, or we were working and we made the investment. Our spouse also needs to know at some point of time, they should be aware that where are we making that investment?
Yeah.
Again, insurance is an important part.
Right.
We need to know that where is my spouse's insurance? What is it? Who do I need to call?
You know, let me ask Ashish on this point. Ashish, I mean, back in the day when I started looking at personal finance 10, 15 years ago, it was always about you get married, you have a joint plan, and then you plan for children, you plan for retirement, everything is joint, you plan to buy a house. How is the whole model changing now? Is it still a taboo to talk about individual plans and aspirations within a joint plan? I mean, what do you tell couples who come to you where the woman also wants a certain degree of her own financial independence, especially if she's earning?
Yeah, no, you'll be surprised. I think women are thinking more and more independently, right? Typically, the house is on the joint name because of the loan and the EMI and the eligibility. But once that is done, after that, incrementally, you're seeing more and more women doing their own plans, right? Whether it's SIPs, whether it is buying gold, because look, women are far more creative shoppers than men as well, right? So other than, planning for the goals, they also need to keep some corpus for themselves and for their parents. I have seen incrementally women supporting their own parents. So lot of women are thinking independently about their own finances, and they're taking decisions on their own. But like Neha said, it is important from a succession planning and from a knowing where all the assets are to ensure that your spouse knows how to access it in case of any eventuality.
Okay. Now, here I want to get to a very important concept, a concept of Stridhan. We've all heard of it, but we might not really know what it's all about. As women, Neha, tell us, what do we need to know about this Stridhan? All I know as well is that it's, assets which belong to me. Nobody else can sort of claim them or touch them. But I don't know. It's this amorphous cloud. How do I claim it? Does it have to be locked in a bank? Or, what is this whole Stridhan business about?
See, Stridhan is, it's a Hindi term. So if the moment you convert it into English, it's Stri is woman, Dhan is wealth. A woman's wealth. A woman's wealth from the time she gets engaged to the time she is married to the time she is married to the person. Whatever gifts she is receiving, whatever inheritance she is receiving, any asset that she earns, or any asset like her father bought her a real estate, she is earning rent on that. That rent, her jewelry, in-laws gave her gifts during her wedding, engagement, during the course of the marriage. All this is Stridhan.
Okay.
Now, as a woman, one needs to ensure that there is a proper documentation around it. If there is no documentation, at least one should be responsible for it.
So let me ask you for the question there. If it is, let's say, an asset like real estate, typically it will be, and if your parents have made that investment on your behalf, it would be in your name or on joint name. But when it's, highly valuable gifts, like maybe ornaments, jewelry, etc., typically, how do you prove that this is yours or it was gifted to you? How does it stand up in a court of law?
So generally, when these gifts are given, at least in the Indian society, I can say that when they are being gifted, there are enough photographs that are being taken around it. So one needs to keep that proof.
Oh, that's important.
That's very important. It might come handy at some point.
Okay.
And also there are bills around it. So why was that purchased? It was purchased to be gifted to this person.
Okay.
So those kind of proofs one should keep and keep it carefully.
Okay. Well, that's 3 done. So all the 3s out there, please know what your rights and obligations are with respect to this. It's security for you, which perhaps you can claim if you have the right documentation. We have another query coming in from a viewer, and I think this is a query that goes beyond even the realms of marriage. Sometimes, I mean, if you're taking a career break, maybe you're not earning anymore, but you're in a family, you're married. Then what are some of the issues that you could be confronted with? Megha Ved is our next viewer on the show. Megha, thanks for joining in. Tell us, how can we help you?
Thank you so much for having me. Going ahead with your question, yes, I do manage my own money and look after the family office as well. The pressing need which I am looking for answers would be the inheritance planning. And how important is a family trust in today's scenario for families, and how we can, what would be the process to form that, and what are the nitty-gritties involved with that, and how do they help in more effective taxation?
Okay, Neha, this one's absolutely yours. Family trust, succession. Yeah. What are some of the basic house rules?
So see, first things first, you need to consolidate or make a list or a checklist that what are your assets? What are the assets that you would want to keep it in your name? What are the assets you would want to move to a private trust? Now, these private trusts are made by an individual for the benefit of the family members. They can be made with the objective that we want to ring fence the assets or protect the assets against any kind of problems that may come in the future. They are also very useful because people want to plan their succession properly. They don't want the interference of court. So one has to take probate on a will. Here, you don't have to take a probate. So people make trusts or form trusts for different reasons. You can do investments through the trust. You can transfer assets in the trust. So that is why in the beginning I said that make that checklist. Okay. That what are your assets and what assets would you want to safeguard or you want to keep aside in a trust, and what are the assets that you would want to keep in your name. Okay. And once you have that, the assets that are in your name, make a will around it. Okay. Very important to create a will, probably have it registered, but have it signed by 2 witnesses for sure. And the private trust you can create, depending on who all are the family members. One of the family members can create the trust and contribute funds in the trust and make investments through the trust.
Okay, I think this calls for a specific classroom, and we'll have you come back in to give us more details on this. But as we are winding down, Ashish, for women who are married, now whether they're earning or even the ones who are maybe taking a career break, like I'm saying, or not earning, maybe homemakers, what is the most important checklist that they should keep in mind when it comes to securing themselves in all eventualities financially?
So, I mean, just building on Neha, what she mentioned, I think it's important to understand where your money is, right? So, to make a checklist. Second, if you're managing the family office money, like we spoke, I think knowledge of compounding and asset classes is important. But let's say if you've stopped earning and you're now becoming a homemaker, then it's also important to see what are your cash flow expectations from the portfolio, and if the portfolio needs to be redesigned accordingly, right? And the portfolio also needs to be reviewed on a yearly basis, because you have different phases. When you're married initially, then your kids take over your time, and then when the kids go for their schooling or college, then you get a lot of time then you get more time for yourself, and the cash flow requirements also change, right? So it's important to understand where your money is, what is your cash flow requirements over the next few years, is the portfolio correctly positioned based on your cash flow requirements, and accordingly run the portfolio going forward.
Okay, all right. These are very helpful tips, and it's great advice coming from both of you. And I think our women viewers will do very well in kind of listening to some of this and incorporating it in their own personal finance plans. Thanks very much, Ashish and Neha.
Thank
you, Surabhi. It's been a pleasure
joining in. Thank you so much. And with that, it's a wrap on this special Women's Day edition of Let's Talk Money. We wish all the women out there lots of health, wealth, prosperity, peace of mind, and more progress all the way. We'll see you again next week.
Let's Talk Money